Are you Miss Staples?
Yes, how can I help you?
So, we got kind of a weird phone call. Do you know Latricia?
No.
No?
I don't know anybody out here.
Some lady called DCFS. And,
What?
And kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves?
Absolutely not.
It was on the night of July the 25th, 2023, that officers were called to a family residence in Rock Island, Illinois. They had been dispatched to the property after a rather alarming phone call came through, reporting that a child had allegedly shot themselves. But as to who this child was, what precisely had happened, or if this report was even real, nobody was sure. In fact, even the officers attending the property seemed to be in total disbelief, let alone the mother of allegedly 4 Sushi Staples.
You've never had a son named Zion?
No.
One of the calls from 2021, DCFS came out to your residence in Chicago, and there was a Zion Staples there.
However, a second visit the next day would end with a very grim outcome, and a revelation that will leave you both disgusted and shocked. Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime, folks. My name is Adrian, and today I'm going to show you what a real liar looks like. In this video, we're examining a case that will ultimately require your opinion, because, well, the outcome is sadly not what I expected. Anyway, with all said and done, please grab yourself a coffee and let's caffeinate while we investigate. This is the case of Sushi Staples. July the 25th, 2023 was like any other day for most people living on Rock Island. However, the next couple of days would pan out very differently for a mother, her children, and several police officers. You see, it all began when an unknown person reached out to the Department of Children and Family Services to say that they were concerned about a neighbor's child. In fact, this wasn't actually the first time they'd reached out to the DCFS. However, following some very worrying information, they would only now take them seriously. The person calling was a neighbor and friend to a woman named Sushi Staples, who was a mother to several children. Strangely enough, this woman, Sushi, had said to the friend that her son Zion would, quote, not be coming home for Christmas anymore. And well, you can probably agree with me here that this did not sound very reassuring. The woman in question and her children had all lived in Rock Island for several years now, never moving home during that time frame. For most of her kids, that house, which was found on 20.5 Avenue, had been home for their entire lives. Now, Rock Island is not a huge city. With 37,000 residents, it is enough to have some history and character, but not big enough to be well known across the state. Their mother, Sushi Staples, was a patient caretaker working just a few miles away at the Mercy One Genesis Hospital. To add to that, she was also a student at the local community college, striving to further her education after a late start. You see, Sushi had officially divorced from her husband, Lattes Owens, and their breakup was quite messy to say the least. It turns out that by the time all was said and done, the two actually despised each other, and once he'd started seeing another woman, well, that was it. In fact, his new partner seemed to apparently hate Sushi's guts. However, Lattes was not the only person she had kids with. In fact, Sushi was actually the mother of 8 children, with 12 years spanning between her first and her last. As a mother who was ultimately deemed unfit to take care of her eldest 2 children, they would eventually be placed into the care of DCFS, short for the Department of Children and Family Services, found in Illinois. Unfortunately, there were also other rumors going on too, which was not only the reason why she never wanted to see him again, but also why she had a firearm. But from the outside, the Staples appeared to be a normal and happy family, and by the year 2023 had rolled around, it was just Sushi and her 4 younger daughters in the property. Allegedly. Neighbors recall seeing her girls in the backyard doing, you know, typical young girl things. Drawing on the driveway with colourful chalk and playing with each other and stuff like that. They got by on the simple things because, financially speaking, the family were not too strong or stable. After breaking up and the divorce and pretty much everything else that happened before and after, Sushi was now a single mother trying her very best to raise at least 4 children. Unfortunately, there is no way around it. Being a single parent is going to be extraordinarily difficult no matter what, and Sushi, Well, she had several other mouths to feed. And so, it was for this reason that she was on government benefits for every child under her roof. And yes, we are being vague with the numbers intentionally here. But there were signs that Sushi was trying to improve her situation. Like I said, she was not only in full-time employment, but also going to college. This was a very positive thing. But at least for the short term, the family were definitely not looking at any luxuries such as a new family car or a holiday. You know, I think all of us can appreciate how important time away can be, whether that be a local holiday or one further afar. However, there is one big downside to international traveling. And that is, as soon as you step off of that plane, all of that data on your mobile phone just suddenly becomes irrelevant. And unfortunately, you know exactly what that means. No data, no use of your mobile phone. But what if I told you there was one very easy way to stay connected while away without making things complicated? And that's where the sponsor of this video, Saily, comes in. Saily is the affordable eSIM data service for international travel. Simply download the app, buy a plan, install the eSIM, and then enjoy connectivity with everyone abroad. With Saily, you can significantly reduce and even eliminate roaming fees with affordable eSIM plans in over 160 countries. And you can now stay connected to those at home, meaning no more looking for public Wi-Fi, which of course runs its own range of risks. With Saily, you only have to pay for as much data as you need. Oh, and Saily will always tell you when you've used 80% of it too. Now, personally speaking, Saily has been amazing to me throughout my move to Australia. Being in a foreign country with a British SIM card made it very difficult to stay connected. Downloading the app, buying a plan, and installing the eSIM only took me 2 minutes. Simply follow the instructions on the app or install it on your phone, which is compatible with iOS or Android devices. Saily works with all smartphones supporting eSIM technology, and if it isn't compatible, then you can get a full refund. So, if you'd like to stay connected while away, then no problem. Just simply download the app and use my coupon code at checkout. Thank you so much to Saily for sponsoring this video and helping me settle in Australia. And thank you to you folks for supporting us content creators. Now, going back to the lives of Sushi Staples and her children, several neighbours in the neighbourhood would notice that Sushi would often talk about going to church, but never actually attend them. And on the note of attendance, or lack thereof, none of her children would actually ever attend school. And that's because Sushi believed in homeschooling. Now, I'm not going to bash it, but if you're going to homeschool your children, then surely you want to be well educated yourself first. Right? The Staples children were essentially shut off from the rest of America. With no school, they would pretty much keep to themselves around the family home, which of course made it harder for others outside of the home to keep track of them. Speaking of keeping track of them, some neighbours began to grow worried about her 5th child at the property. You see, they hadn't seen her son, Zion, for several months now, and that is when the odd comment began to slip out. I'm not sure about you folks, but you don't casually walk around town saying that your son would no longer be around for Christmas anymore. I mean, nobody would say that without insinuating that something severe had gone down. And so, with Sushi's rather ominous statement being made to the neighbour, well, that is when they contacted the DCFS and ultimately the police. So, the main section of our case today begins on July the 25th, 2023. It is on that day that officers made their way to the home of a so-called Sushi Staples, after DCFS's request to the police for a welfare check came through. Approaching the family home, which was found on the 1700 block of 20.5 Avenue, it was quite clear from the outset that Sushi was not impressed with having the police at her front door. I do get it, by the way. Many communities have lost confidence in the police force, but Sushi, well, she seemed to be very annoyed and even aggressive. The bodycam footage displayed here can be quite long and tedious in some places, so for the sake of this video, I'll trim this footage down to only the essential parts. I'll also stop and pause every once in a while to share my thoughts in between.
Hi.
Are you Miss Staples?
Yes, how can I help you?
So, we got kind of a weird phone call. Do you know Latricia?
No.
No?
I don't know anybody out here.
Some lady called DCFS. And,
What?
And kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves?
Absolutely not.
As you can see, the police officers were not fooling around here. They came here to find out exactly what happened to Zion, so they were not scared to save everyone's time by getting to the point. But one thing to note here is that Sushi did not sound surprised by claims that her child was apparently dead. You'd think that maybe she would outwardly exhale if this is news that she had never heard before, but instead, she simply denied it as if it were an insignificant matter.
No, it sounds crazy to me too. That's what
I am so sorry about this. My ex-husband, his new girlfriend, this broad is off the chain. I have went down to Rock Island and filed a police report on her.
Okay.
I have went and put a restraining order on her.
What's her name?
Her name is Tony. This girl is never in it. She has so many different Facebook pages she stalks me from. She has made up different names, called me from different numbers. I have changed my number, tried to do everything I can.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can never seem to get them served because they're always bouncing around in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay. They're not even down here.
They're not even out here. And
Okay.
it's been a constant...
Have we been here before?
No, you've never come to my house for anything. I've been here for 7 years and never had a problem in Rock Island.
Yeah, I didn't know who you were.
I work at Genesis Hospital. I'm a patient care tech. I'm a student at Eastern Iowa Community College.
Okay.
I have a business in Davenport. This girl has made threats towards me on Facebook, posting her gun up, saying that she's gonna come to my addy. It's just never ending.
Right. So they made some allegation that you had a son and he shot himself
Sir,
and he's in your
come
basement.
on now. You think... Look where I live.
She remained angry and defensive throughout her entire encounter with officers. And when asked if they could inspect her basement, well, she defensively said no.
I get it. Just so I can check the box off, can I look in your basement real quick and I'll get out
No,
of here?
you need a search warrant to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not about to have my rights violated because someone makes Uranus allegations like this.
I know. Like I said, it sounded crazy to me too. I'm just up here seeing if, we have to investigate it, no matter how crazy it sounds.
If you want to do that, I would suggest you go through the proper protocols. I'm not about to let some crazy woman who has my husband make Uranus accusations like this and have my rights violated as a
No,
citizen.
I get it.
That is not okay. I have 4 girls in here.
That's what I'm just asking. I'm not
4 children.
I'm not trying to blame anything on you. I'm not saying this is true. I was just asking. And you guys only have girls?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 4. Do you want to see them?
No. They said it was a son. I was just curious if that's even true.
It's not.
Okay.
It's a never-ending story with these two.
I get it. Like I said, I'm not trying to bother you or anything, but we get a call, no matter how crazy it sounds, we still got to come up and see if there's any truth. All right. Well, sorry to bother you. Okay. It's like I said, we get a call, we got to show up.
They got to the point now where they don't have my phone number, so they emailing me. Okay. I have spam emails here from these people. I'm gonna go down here. The last one I got was. Let me see.
Is it have a name on it?
Yes, it has his name on it. I have to go here. This is the last one I have. And this gotten to the point where they're emailing me because they don't have a contact phone number on me.
Right.
This is how bad the harass has gotten.
Okay.
But until I can get Rock Island to Cook County to serve them and actually find the address on them,
Right.
that's going to be a problem. So they
I'll
keep having me come back to court until I can get an address on them.
add some notes just in the call that I was hearing that it's a harassment thing, so we don't have to keep coming up here and.
Thank you.
All right, sorry to bug you. Just like I said, we got to call, even if it sounds crazy, we got to come see what's going on.
Man, this lady, I don't even know what to say about her. It's never ending.
All right,
I have doorbell cams here.
I saw that.
So,
After agreeing with the officers that she was being harassed, Sushi finished the conversation by saying, "I'm here. I haven't got anything to hide."
I'm here. I ain't got nothing to hide.
Okay.
Sushi claimed that she had no son named Zion and never did, and that all of this was simply some evil scheme created by her ex-husband and his new partner. However, if she had nothing to hide, then why didn't she let officers inside the property? Oh, and before we continue, I do have one small confession that I must share. You see, it wasn't actually the bodycam footage or any of the legal documents that initially piqued my interest in this case. Instead, it was actually seeing the world's most ridiculous name to ever exist, and of course, I'm talking about Sushi Staples. I mean, if this woman isn't going to receive life behind bars for murdering a child, then surely her name is enough. Be right back, renaming Nero to Turkey Twizzler's Paperclip or Pork Chop McNotepad. Let's get back on track here. You see, Sushi was obviously worked up and very defensive about something. However, what exactly that was, nobody knew. However, without a warrant, police officers were not allowed to do anything, which is precisely why they would then go back to the office and then try to acquire one. You see, the DCFS and respective police departments had a good enough reason to investigate here. It wasn't that Zion was some random name pulled out from an unrealistic story, after all, because the DCFS could at least confirm that Zion Staples did in fact exist. And Sushi, well, she was still claiming benefits from a child named Zion too. So, if this really were a fabricated story, why was the money going into her account? Since she claimed that he wasn't real, this would at least suggest that Sushi was committing fraud with those additional benefits, therefore giving police officers enough reason to go back to her home to pay her a second visit. And so, on July the 26th, 2023, only one day after visiting her before, they then returned to the property with an actual search warrant. As you can see in this new body cam footage, the tone was very different this time, and the shift in power between Sushi and several police officers was immediate. Where officers were now prepared to search her property, Sushi seemed much more cautious and worried. Eventually, she had no choice but to let them in, and the officers did not seem to be waiting around for her either. While 2 of them kept Sushi detained, 2 others checked the basement for any signs or clues of Zion. And meanwhile, upstairs, it was quite clear that Sushi was beginning to panic over something.
Do you know why we're here?
No, I don't. I don't know why you're here.
Okay.
And I'm really scared because my kids are upstairs and I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Can I call my family to tell them, to somebody to come?
You're not under arrest or anything like that, okay?
Okay.
That's why I'm sitting here talking to you, okay?
Okay, I'm scared to death because I don't know what's going on.
And so the reason we're here, okay, is because we're investigating a call that we had, okay? The officers came out and talked to you last night, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have to handle that real seriously, okay? Because the allegations are that you have a son and that he's deceased and he's here in this house. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Do you have a son named Zion?
No, I don't.
Once again, when asked whether she had a son named Zion or not, she simply said no, instead claiming that she'd been through a recent situation involving her own identity being stolen. I mean, it does seem quite fitting that she had a backup story at the ready.
You've never had a son named Zion?
No.
Are you claiming benefits for a kid named Zion?
No. I haven't gotten any benefits for anyone. I just recently went through a situation where a young lady stole my identity and she falsely filed my taxes and my informations and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I've been working with the FBI. I've been working with the IRS. There's been a lot of things popping up, and
have you had any interactions with DCFS up in Chicago?
I did.
Okay.
False calls that were made.
Okay.
Correct.
One of the calls from 2021, DCFS came out to your residence in Chicago, and there was a Zion Staples there.
Over time, it became quite clear that the authorities were not willing to back down. They would drill and drill down on Sushi's story as the hour passed by, and I think she recognized that she was fighting a losing battle.
Well, because we're seizing your phone, okay?
I understand you're seizing it, but that's like, I should be able to at least call my lawyer still. I shouldn't be held in my own house and not be able to call my counsel.
Well, are you requesting a lawyer right now? Because if you request a lawyer right now, we're done talking.
And then what? You're going to arrest me?
I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to search your house.
We're going to search his house upside down. Somewhere here we need to get to the bottom of this Zion thing.
I can't
and
help
this
it
is
when
coming
people
from
call.
other. This is coming from other people. This is
I
getting
can't
mentioned.
help it when
look,
people
this-
call and make allegations against me. People do this
Okay.
every day out of spite.
And that is when Sushi finally cracked to the officers. But even still, she wouldn't admit that he was a real person.
You need to come clean because we're not going anywhere. This is just, you're just going to dig yourself a bigger grave now. I asked you if there's anything with Zion's name in this house. You said no.
I needed some extra help, okay? That was it.
What do you mean by that?
I had a person that makes documents. And it was just really hard. Like,
So is Zion a real person?
you know, I can't call a lawyer and let them know you are here. I can't call a lawyer to come here to my house while I'm being questioned by you.
If you want an attorney right now, we can we'll just be done.
We'll be done.
All right.
But the investigation continues.
Okay.
Okay. Go and turn it off for me.
Oh, no. I'm going to jail. What am I going to jail for? What have I done?
You just admitted to fraud.
So now you're going to railroad me on fraud?
Railroad you what? We're trying to figure out where your kid is.
My kid.
You're saying that he doesn't
You're
exist.
saying my kid. Let me walk out.
We'll cuff you in front, okay?
This is embarrassing. I can get in the car. Do you got to take my dignity away and put me in cuffs in front of my neighbors?
We're not gonna put him behind you, okay?
My neighbors
We're gonna walk you to the car real quick and then we'll get you out of here, okay?
My neighbors, they've been knowing me for 6 years. You see that badge over there? I work 2 jobs at Genesis.
I hear you.
I go to school out here.
The detectives did seem to have a hunch, and their gut instincts would ultimately prove to be correct. And so, after Sushi was arrested and then escorted outside, they would take a look at the property's external garage. The room was almost entirely empty, spare a few items bunched up in the corner underneath some shelves. And although most objects were visible, there was one trash can that was hidden in the corner. Quite naturally, this piqued the officers' interest, and so, after inviting forensic detectives to come to the scene, they then pulled it away from the wall to check what was inside. The men were met with a rather unpleasant smell, and the trash can appeared to have something quite heavy from within. And after taking a closer look, they found precisely what they were looking for. The body of a young boy was found inside, and of course, ultimately, that would prove to be Zion. So, I guess it turns out that Sushi was actually lying all this time after all. Despite strongly denying his very existence, Zion was in fact a real person. And yeah, he may now be dead, but he was very much just as real as the rest of his siblings. You know, I am really struggling to understand how anyone can lie about their child's entire existence just like that. I mean, this has to be one of the most disrespectful things you can do. Following the discovery, Sushi was obviously rearrested under a whole myriad of extra charges. However, this case would not progress as you might expect. From the outset, officers decided not to see this as a case of murder, but instead as an accidental death that Sushi would then try to keep as a secret. And that's because 2 of Sushi's other children would tragically confess that they saw their brother die. They would claim that apparently Zion had accidentally shot himself in the head after finding his mother's firearm, and that all of this was just one giant mistake. Preliminary results from an autopsy indicated that the death was not natural and, as a result, was considered suspicious. And so, following this information, Sushi was charged not with murder, but with failure to report the death of a child under 13, concealment of a death, and obstruction of justice. From the very get-go, Sushi may not have been facing life behind bars, but she certainly did have a lot of explaining to do. I mean, it kind of feels like I'm stating the obvious here, but a mother wouldn't typically hide her son's body, grieve about it quietly, and then even refuse to acknowledge he ever existed. For her to go through with all of this, well, there must have been a certain level of permissible guilt somewhere. Whether it be the fact that she realized how stupid she was to let Zion find the gun, or if she felt bad for claiming benefits off of her child who was now dead. So, moving into the legal proceedings of this case, the prosecution remained focused not on murder, but on Sushi's neglect, endangerment, and fraud instead. According to the police, Zion died from a gunshot wound, which most likely was accidental and self-inflicted. It is believed that he most likely found the gun inside the home, put it to his head, and then pulled the trigger, not thinking or knowing that it was actually loaded. Prosecutors believed that before his death, Sushi was merely responsible for the endangerment of her child. But what made this case obviously so much worse was how she responded after. Instead of calling for an ambulance or even reporting his death to the authorities, she would instead ask her very own children to help conceal their brother's body. Two of her daughters helped place his body inside a plastic bin, which was then placed in the home's basement, right below the space where the family would routinely eat breakfast and dinner together. She then asked her children to help change the carpets, which, at the time, were covered in their brother's blood and flesh. Detectives would realize that there were clear signs that someone was also trying to conceal the smell of decay. Every vent of the house seemed to be stuffed with clothes and dryer sheets, most likely in an effort to stop the smell from getting outside, where neighbors would then become suspicious. As we know, but due to her financial shortcomings, Sushi was able to claim child benefits for Zion, and although he was now dead and she had essentially erased his entire existence from her life, she would continue to cash in on those benefits for several months afterwards. When the smell got too bad, she would then move his body from the basement to an external garage located at the end of the property. She placed him in the bottom of a large metal trash can, placed it in the corner of the room, and then tried to hide it from people's view with multiple items. Upon his discovery, detectives would also find several air fresheners in the garage, and after opening the trash can and taking a look, they would find his body, which was only covered in a short pair of Spider-Man pants. Between the months of December 2022 and July 2023, Zion's body remained on the property like a dark little secret. And in the meanwhile, his mother claimed all of the government's money, which was instead intended for his upbringing. Trying to place myself in her own shoes for a few moments, I still can't understand why she reacted the way she did. I mean, I get it. I know that most people behave rather abnormally in extreme situations. However, I would like to think that all of us would be kicking, screaming, and crying about it, rather than trying to hide a child's body. Thinking about it, maybe it was the fear of losing custody of her other children, and that is actually what drove her to it. Or maybe it was just a simple combination of stupidity and greed. During a preliminary hearing, it was revealed that Zion was most likely to have shot himself, and that the coroner testified that this was indeed a definite possibility. However, he did also say that there was no way of proving it and that we will likely never know who shot him, leaving many to believe that maybe it was actually a homicide instead. The DCFS would also state that they had dealt with the Staples family several times over the past 10 years. During this time, they investigated several claims of abuse. However, none of these claims were ever ruled to be credible. After the hearing, the judge found probable cause in the case, and therefore would have liked to have held a trial. In response, Sushi would waive her arraignment hearings and then request a jury trial. However, before this case could go any further, she then actioned other plans. Before the trial could even get underway, Sushi decided to take a plea deal and pleaded guilty to endangering the life or health of a child. Doing this meant that all of her other charges would ultimately be dropped, meaning that she would only face responsibility for endangerment alone.
I should have done more, and I should have made the right decision, but I just don't know what happened. I am not a criminal. I am not a monster. I am just a mother who have tried over and over again, no matter how many times I fall, to get up and do the right thing again.
After pleading guilty, Sushi was sentenced to a grand total of only 2 years behind bars for her role in the death and financial exploitation of her son. And since she had already spent 204 days in prison, this sentence was reduced to only 1 year and 5 months. The judge would also further recommend that she should be placed in a mental health facility, as at the time she suffered from an anxiety disorder. She was also ordered to serve 6 months of mandatory supervised release once she finished her prison term. But the funny thing is, Sushi was not happy with this sentence. She believed that she had been hard done by the judge, and so she wanted to withdraw her plea deal and instead be resentenced. In a handwritten letter to the judge, she said, "I'm asking for a reconsideration of my sentence, because I'm a first-time felon and have never been to a prison, and my last charge with law enforcement was over 20 years ago, missing a few commas here, and I feel I should receive a deferred judgment, mental health court, and probation." You know what, I'm not going to bother reading the rest, but please do remember that this note was written by a mother who opted to homeschool her children. The main point here is that despite endangering her child, letting him die, hiding his body, claiming government benefits off of him, and then denying his entire existence, Sushi believed that 2 years was simply too much. And with that said, you know what? Every once in a while, a case comes by and the perpetrator just absolutely baffles me. I do find it very fascinating how capable some people are of lying. I mean, Sushi, she was so adamant that her son didn't exist that she got aggressive towards officers. And this level of victimization is quite reminiscent of cluster B personality types. You know, I think all of us have dealt with at least one narcissist in our lives. During her sentencing, Sushi claimed that she was not a monster, but simply a mother who fell down many times, tried to get back up, and do what's right. But personally speaking, I don't think anything about this story demonstrates right behavior. So I'm calling bullshit on this one. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think about this situation? Anyway, I think that'll do for me today. And so on that note, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate you being here. From what I understand, Sushi will soon be out of prison, which basically means that's the very end of this story, and all that I have to report on. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Maybe we all can agree this wasn't murder, but 2 years? Really? As always, please share your thoughts in the comment section down below, and thank you so much to all of you for watching this video today and being here. I really do appreciate it. And thank you again to Saley for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to get an exclusive 15% off, then please scan the QR code or click the link down below. If you'd like to catch me on social media, then please click any of the links above. Alternatively, if you want to support me and the channel directly, then please check out my Patreon. You also get early access to my videos and exclusive content. As always, I'll return very soon for another video, but until that moment arrives, please do remember to look after yourself and look after each other. Thank you so much, folks. See you again soon. Goodbye.